Hi everyone, Murakumo here, or TZ Murakumo. If you're wondering what the TZ is for, it's for Tekken Zaibatsu, since I was one of the old heads back there. Got that January 2000 join date right when it started. So I've been around Tekken for a long time and playing Lee. I played him in Tag 1. He was my first character in Tekken 2 when I started playing. And I really started maining him from Tekken 4 and onward. And I really love exploring his mechanics, finding new things, creating tech that I and other people can use and apply in matches. I did that early on in Tekken 7, but the Tekken 7 mechanics I felt like were kind of limited. It limited creativity. I just wasn't having as much fun with it, so I didn't play it for very long. I stopped kind of partway into Season 2. But I'm real excited for Tekken 8 and the mechanics that I see so far, all the things to test and try and find out. I love theory crafting, testing, finding ways to make stuff hit. So today we're going to look at some of the videos that are out there right now. And from the information we have right now, things that I'm interested in, that I want to test, possible combo routes, maybe some tricks and ways to set things up and stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of a perspective looking at things we can do or things that we can try based on what we know so far about the mechanics and what we're going to need to test when we get there. So first I'm going to start with this move list here, and we'll go through some of this and some of the property changes as well as what it means for the match and for combos. So here we go, is 1-2. Okay, so forward 3 is a heat engager now. And it is important to note that if you are not in heat yet, you'll get this kind of push down on the ground here, but you normally can't really float them up into a combo. If you're already in heat and you hit this, then you can pick up with 4 up 3 or something else to start a combo off of it. That could also be useful for late in juggles. Maybe we can finish with when we're in heat, forward 3 into the heat dash, and then get back 4 down 3 or something like that for an unscaled final hit low. So that could be a strong way to finish if we have a really long juggle. But it'll be interesting to see if there are times we can't get to the wall, because the stages are bigger, but there are no infinite stages now. Okay, so this is kind of interesting too. I'm going to look at, we saw in the character breakdown recently, or sorry, that's Arsenality's character breakdown. The gameplay trailer, there was a combo here. It was a little strange. Here we go. It's on Lars. Not this one. Back here, sorry. So we have this, going to the heat smash, forward 3. So right there, he did forward 3, and he is in heat, but he doesn't follow it up. So based on the demo and how we know this acts now, with Kazuya as his forward 2, if you're in heat and you do forward 2, it does a little laser thing, but if you hold the forward, then it goes into the heat dash. So you don't necessarily have to spend the heat dash out of heat when you're in heat and using it, if you want to keep your heat active for something else. It's optional to use the heat dash or not. I think we can see how this works in Arsenality's video here. Here we go.
The heat engager is forward 3. It's still safe at -9, and I can imagine.
So that's actually a change. It used to be -11. Not many characters could punish it, but a couple could, especially at the wall.
It being good for heat dash combos.
So like right there, he's in heat mode. He hits the forward 3 in the air, holds forward, and it heat dashes. This means we should still get a combo off of while standing 2-3, forward 3 if we're in heat. Okay, so let's keep going with the move list here. So that'll be useful. It's safer now. It's a heat engager. And if you're in heat already, it leads to the heat dash that allows you to keep picking up and comboing. If you're not in heat yet, this one, they're kind of flops, but they're technically grounded, so you don't float them. But you might have noticed some of the Jin videos when he does his down back 2-2, because the hits are so quick, it pops them up off of the ground, so you can use that to pop them up into the wall. And I'm thinking Lee might be able to do the same thing too. It depends on how quickly we can do it, but the Hitman transitions look really quick now. So when we come out of this dash, when we've done it as a heat engager, we're not in heat yet, we might be able to Hitman into Hitman 1+2. And traditionally, when they're up like this, that's able to pop them up off the ground. So we probably can't get a lot after that, but it's a little bit. It pops them off the ground, which might give us more pressure afterwards. And if we're near a wall, it might be enough to pop them up onto the wall and give us something more. Okay. All right, so this is his heat smash. 20 frame low, good damage, 37 damage. It looks like it's down back 3, so I'm not quite sure what it's going to be on block, but his down back 3 traditionally has been -12 on block. Quite a safe move. Okay, so he's got the forward 4-1, and he has a normal version and a just frame version of this. I think this comes up again later in the video. So these are on block. And let's see, what was it on block? Sorry, back here. Oh, okay. That was quite good. So +5 on block, but it is high, so they're able to duck the second hit. You might need to mix that up with forward 4-3 if you're trying to use this when they could potentially block. One of the things to notice here too, you can see this little symbol. This symbol basically means that it is a tornado move. So that'll give the new version of the bound when we're in juggle. Okay. Also, I know from later, we'll probably see it again later on hit, but the second hit, I think it's 25 damage or something like that. Maybe that was the full combo on the normal version, and the just frame version does 5 more damage. Okay. Alright, so the heat smash puts us into +2, it looks like here. And when we see this little symbol here in practice mode, I'm going to make this bigger real quick. When we see this, it means the opponent recovers crouching. So that'll be important for some of the moves. Okay, so we have 4-4 just frame 4 is a heat engager. We might be able to use this to hit confirm to it if we got the counter hit or not, depending on if we need the just frame version on a counter hit to float into combo, or if we can pick up from the normal version, because you might not want to spend your heat or might not have the heat. It'll be interesting to see what the properties are on it when we don't have heat. So when we have heat, I think it automatically pushes us into the heat engager, but if we don't have heat, we'll have to see if we can float off of it or get something else. Okay, so it's down forward 4, and lots of people keep saying down forward 4-4, but I'm not sure if we have the choice. It just shows down forward 4 here, so I don't know if the second kick is optional, and if it's not, we need to press 3 to go to Hitman if we only want the first kick. This could affect combos too, because like before, for example, we had the 1+2 on counter hit, dash down forward 4 was the optimal damage pickup from that, which is the same as the old school combos instead of going straight to back 3-3 because the back 3-3 damage was so bad. But now if we can't do just the single first hit, that might change things up a little bit in what routes we need to take. But it is still 13 frames. And 14 at tip range, I think. So we'll go back here and see. Okay, oops, that's okay, that's 4-4-4. Here we go. Yeah, so here we have 13 frames, and it should be 14 at tip range. So it'll be useful for a few other things. There's a few situations where we're +13 as well. For example, counter hit down 2 is now +13. And also Hitman up forward 4 doesn't ground them on normal hit anymore, but it leaves us at +13 and the opponent crouching. So if they're standing, it might be nice to get something more damaging or that knocks down, forward +1/+2, or acid rain. But that's kind of iffy on the range, the acid rain after counter hit down 2. Whereas this should always reach, and if you want to maybe pressure on frames or something like that. But after the Hitman up forward 4, because the opponent's crouching, we can't really use those high options most likely. I don't think it's going to connect with the hitbox, so this might be our follow-up on that. Again, you can use 3 to cancel to the Hitman if you only want the 1 hit, and we'll have to see if it's actually down forward 4/4 for the 2 hits, or if both hits automatically come out from down forward 4. We don't know yet. This shows just the 1 input so far. Okay, so this is his Power Crush, and it is safe on block. It will splat them on the wall if you're next to it. It is a high, and we've seen a couple of combo uses for it too, like as a wall break, and then it runs you in on this heat engager to get right next to them. Okay, forward 3. So same thing as before. What was it? Season 2 or 3, they moved it from I-16 to I-14. So it looks like 14 to 15, maybe very tip range is 15 now. But it should be easier to do. One of the things I noticed in the demo, and a couple other people have been saying the same things, is it appears that forward, a dash is fully bufferable in the buffer period now, instead of timing the second forward on recovery. So if that's true, I don't know if we can press the kick during that as well, or we have to wait on to recovery for that. But it should be easier than before, and things like while standing 2-3 to forward 3 should be somewhere between easier or much easier to insanely easy, depending on whether we can press the 3 or not in that buffer period as well and get this to come out. But the motion at least should be easier to have come out now, and then we can hit the kick on recovery, or if it's possible, we could hit the kick in the buffer too. So I'll need to test that a little more. Okay, and so like we mentioned, it's a heat engager. Let's see, it didn't knock down in this case. Maybe that's counter hit only for the heat engager. Like we said before too, if you're in heat, when you hit it, you have the option to run in and burn your heat for that or not, and you hold forward to do that. And also, like I mentioned, so that should give us a combo off while standing 2-3 again, or it could be high damage latent combos. So when we use the heat burst and combos to go into it, we do get scaled more in the combo, but also if we get that dash in very late in combo when momentum's high, it should still put us right next to them and give us a back 4 into a down 3, and that down 3 should no longer be scaled, and that's quite a bit of damage for finishing a juggle. Okay, so we have Hitman. It says up 3. I always pressed up forward 3. I don't know if they've changed it or just either one would come out. And just like before, we can also recover crouching with this. Hitman into this and hold down. If I remember before in the old games, basically using those cancels would add a couple frames to the recovery, but you would recover crouching. And so I think, what was it, in Tekken 6, you could be minus 10 or 12 standing, but if they tried to punish with jabs and you recovered crouching, then you could, while standing 2-3 them up on the wall. So it might be a little bit of a mind game on block too. Okay, so this is his heat smash that we saw. His rage drive. So this looks, it hits middle, but the animation looks a lot higher than his Tekken 7 one. So I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but we used to use, we could hit his rage art at aerial hit 9 in Tekken 7 on the very last hit. So if we had the tailspin happen at aerial frame 7, then we could get a run in and get deep enough into back 2, and then misstep and delay a little bit before pressing to let the misstep go a little further. And there was a sweet spot to go far enough, but just before they could tech, where you could do the rage art and it would pick them up on aerial hit 9. And so this, I don't think it goes as low as that, but we saw in the other video, it looks like it has a lot more range than the rage art did back in Tekken 7. So here's the review trailer, and near the end here where he does this rage art, he does Hitman 2. Oops, let's go back a little bit. Okay, so Hitman 2 has always sent them at a trajectory where they end up flying pretty far away over here. And so he's up at this peak, and if it takes a few frames to happen, he should be somewhere over here, pretty much, coming down when the rage art activates. But by the time Lee gets there, he looks like right next to him. So I'm not sure if it just connected at the tip. I see the hit thing is out here, and it sucks them in for the animation. But regardless, it's quite a bit of space to cover, so we might be able to use this fairly effectively in combos or late combo as well, or even as with Punisher and things like that. And there's the whole, just watch this because it's nice. I always love this rose blowing up here. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to our moves. Yep, there's the whole thing. He does his rage art. Combat head, we get the rose. Also, I really hope Combat or Mokujin come back. I'm missing those guys. Okay, so here's his jabs. This is the same as before. One thing to notice here, because it'll be important as we move forward in the move list. If we see a number pops up for the combo counter, that means that it's a natural combo. That they, on normal hit here, can't duck it or block it or something like that. So 1, 2, 2, 3, same as before. The 1, 2 is a natural combo, but the final 2 is not. However, the final 2 gives 3. I'm not sure if we can even do that 2 raw anymore because down forward 1, 2 is now the input for the rage art. But this probably means we still get the same thing. Counter hit 2 should make it natural combo on counter. Otherwise, you could hit this from the back or towards their right side on the back works pretty well and things like that. Or, sorry, their left side. Because he goes slightly right when he does that spinning back fist. Okay, 1, 2, 4. Still -1 on hit. 24 damage, same as before. And he has a perfect input version. It's not 1, 2, 4, 4, which a lot of people are saying is 1, 2, 4, 4, but it looks like it's not. It's just a later timing on the 4. I think it's probably not going to be that difficult to get. It's probably going to be difficulty sort of like his triple Fang, which is not really a just frame. It's somewhat lenient. So in Tekken 4, he had 1, 2, 4, 4, but it was a much slighter window to hit it. But it was a little stronger than this too, for a couple reasons. So this one gets better on hit. It becomes +5 instead of -1. And it does, I think, 2 more damage. Yep, 24 into 26. So your frames get better and you're +2 damage. If you're in heat, it also refunds some heat. The Tekken 4 just frame did, I want to say like 12 or 14 extra damage or something. And it gave the plus on hit. And on block, it was safe, which is not true with this version. So the Tekken 4 just frame version gave the kind of push stun to the side that you see in Tekken 6 when you hold the 4 the entire way, or Tekken 6 or Tekken 7. But we can't hold the 4 anymore. So that's gone, which means if we do 1, 2, 4, there's no delay. And on block, unfortunately, this is not like Tekken 4. It doesn't become safe on block with the just frame. So we can see that in Arsenality's video back here. If we look, the just frame version on block is still -12.
Do you have a fast
So here's on hit, +5.
version and a normal version?
And then on block, we have -12 right here. So unfortunately, the just frame version is not safe anymore. Not what I would have liked to see. I would have rather had a little harder just frame on it and have it be have it be safe on block, but that's not what we got. The other thing to mention, you can shift to Hitman on it. If it's the same as before, it does create space and make it harder to punish. But also, it, I think, recovers slower. I think it became -14 before, so they could get a bigger punish on you too. But with some characters, depending on the range and hitbox, they had to choose and make a choice. So it was sort of a guess for which move they were going to punish you with. Okay, Acid Rain. I think it's the same timing. Okay, 2-1-1. These look the same pretty much as far as I can see. This changed slightly. So 2-1-4, it used to be 0 on hit, but it is now +1 on hit, which allows us to challenge them a little bit more. And I think we still come up standing from that. We'll see what we get. In Tekken Tag 2, we recovered crouching. In Tekken 7, we recovered standing. But it could be nice there to be at +1. Okay, so his 2-2-3 is still here, and it doesn't natural combo from the first hit, but it does natural combo from the second hit, and if it's anything like every Tekken game before we've had this in, the counter hit 2 should guarantee the second 2, so it should be a natural combo on counter, which is a nice 10-frame counter hit. Okay, 3-3, same as before, Mistrap. So one of the things, you've probably heard about it now, but when we're in heat mode, if we successfully do the just frame inputs, we get one of the little bars of heat back. If we don't do the just frame input, it still completes it for us as a just frame. It just won't give us any heat back, and it might spend more. I forget how it works exactly, but Mistrap is going to be a very strong threat when we're in heat. Okay, 4-3-3 looks the same, so it knocks down on the third hit, and depending on if it's like Tekken 7, lots of characters here, most of the male characters, and especially the bigger males, down forward 4 was guaranteed here. If our down forward 4 gives the weird 2-hit thing now and we're whiffing the second hit, we might have to cancel that off to Hitman to get it. Depending on, I've seen some of the spikes also last longer on the ground than they used to, so we might be able to get some other stuff too. If we're at the wall, up back 3 was guaranteed before, and it should still be now. Okay, 4-3-4. So this would probably be maybe you do 4-3 and you're fishing for a counter hit, and if you see it does counter hit, you could continue to this to get a combo off the counter hit 4. Be a little careful. So if they block the 4-3, you have a little bit of a game because they can punish 4-3 on block, but you could continue to this, and the things that punish it are probably going to need a little more range. They can jab you out of the flip, or they can sidewalk the flip. So like Lee versus Lee, it could be really dangerous because if he sidewalks and gets down forward 3-2-3, which has changed a little, so we'll talk about that later too, but at least it used to give a really, really chunky combo. Okay, 4-4-4, and so people are wondering about the follow-ups to juggle on counter hit now. What do we still have for counter hit 4? Do we have to commit for 4-3? That feels a little more dangerous. 4-4-4 is good at realigning if they're stepping too. So even before, even though Magic 4 gave more damage for a combo on counter hit, lots of Lee players, and I think higher level Lee players especially, would use 4-4 because it was a little bit more safety if they sidestepped, because the second 4 would realign, and the third 4 can as well. But the third 4 usually doesn't recover as quickly. But just the second 4 here also doesn't put them very high. So we'll have to see what we can get for juggles. Can we juggle off of counter hit 4-4 at all? Is it close enough for anything? Is it just a mini combo or something? And one of the things I wanted to show with this was right here. So we see counter hit 4-4-4 without the just frame in match. So recovery looks about, so he dashes here, and I feel like we can at least get micro dash to back 3-3. And like I said, since it seems that dash is fully bufferable, that shouldn't be as difficult as it used to be to get the micro dash, because you're just timing your move after the dash comes out on recovery instead of having to time the second forward into an instantaneous back three, basically. So I'm kind of hypothesizing we can get something from here, either micro dash back three or micro dash forward four, and with the dash buffer now, it should be easier than it used to be. Pretty sure there's a dash buffer. I think other people said they were seeing it too. If there's not, it just means my system was really lagging on Tekken 8. I was trying with Nina, jab into the dash, and she had clearly not recovered yet. I input the forward, and after that, on recovery, she dashed out of it. So pretty sure that's the thing now. Okay. So we'll need more testing for that. There's also forward 4-4, just frame 4, which I think, again, is going to be pretty lenient and later. A lot of people might try and do this. I think it's possible to even 4-4, and if you see the counter hit, if you hit 4 when you see it, we'll probably get this out of it. So it might be a way to sort of confirm into a counter hit combo, so that you're not wasting this when they're blocking. But the other thing, too, is... what is the other thing? Oh, yeah. We'll see how it acts when we don't have any heat left. We don't know that yet. And you just might want to save your heat for something else. Maybe you don't always want to burn it in your combo. So I'm not sure how much I'll use this. We'll kind of test it more and see what happens. He also has a just version on the 2-hit kick. I think that I saw before, unless I'm just totally hallucinating. It might have been in Markman's video covering it, but I can't remember exactly. So here we have 4 up 3, same thing again. Okay, 1+2, Hitman stance. So Hitman cancels seem to be much quicker now, so I really want to do testing for that, both for kind of routes and what they can do and how you can pressure with it, but also I'm wondering if it means we end up a lot safer on our Hitman transitions than we used to. And if we still do have the cancels, like the down back-to-back cancel for recovery and stuff like that, we could end up significantly safer on some Hitman transitions than we used to. Okay, Acid Storm, 35 damage. And Cardinal, 36 damage. I think they're both the same frames here. Oops, let's go back a little more. Okay, it's plus 70, plus 54, 35 damage. Notice when they land, 2.62 range. Here, Cardinal does 36. It's just one more damage. The main thing is probably going to be that if you're in heat, this gives you the heat back. That'll probably be the main reason for it. And it looks like just a tiny bit further, just something with the animation on the just frame, I guess, but almost the same distance. Frames are the same, so we'll probably get the same stuff off of it. Okay, so here's the forward 4-1. And you notice there is no combo counter here, which means it is not a natural combo. It doesn't combo on normal hit. I'm pretty sure it will on counter hit. And if we can delay it like forward 4-1 in Tekken 7, then it's almost no delay to get it to be natural on counter hit, though. So you kind of have to react to their movement or that they were sticking something out. It's sort of a pseudo counter hit confirm. You'll notice here that it does give the tornado as well, so we can use this and juggle for that. And that was 25. Oh, whoops. Let's see. So here we go. Second hit is 20 damage. And the just frame version, the frames are the same, or at least on hit here. I don't know if it's different on block. But it goes up to 25 damage, so it does 5 damage more with the just frame version. With damage scaling and juggle, it might go down a little bit from that, but it'll still be a couple of extra damage. Okay, forward 4-3. That's what we're mixing with if we're worried that they're going to duck it. Usually when I use forward 4 in match is for like a counter hit confirm, but we'll see if we can get some pressure from the forward 4-1 on block. And this forces crouch. It's +6 on hit, which is pretty nice. The damage is a little less than the non-just frame version of forward 4-1, but it does force crouch on here and give you +6, which is not a bad situation to be in. We can go to Hitman from it, of course, still. It'll be interesting to see. Some of the spikes last longer now, and the Hitman transitions are quicker. So I don't think we'll be able to, but I'm going to test anyway to see if we can get like forward 4-3 Hitman 4 or back 4 Hitman 4 in this game. Okay, forward +1-2. Still does good damage, 32, and knocks down. So for this will probably be a very consistent go-to. If we get counter hit down 2, which is +13 now. Okay, feather landing, same thing as before. So it should be +4 on block or more, +4 to 6, depending on where and how you hit it. +8 on hit. And you'll notice there's a frame range here. So there's certain areas where when they recover, you can reliably get +5, which allows us to pressure and hit them with while standing 2-3 if they end up coming up into that situation from Oki. And very, very rare, but if you got a position where they tech rolled and you tracked enough with it and you hit them meaty as they came up, you can actually end up +10, and it guarantees while standing 3-3. So that's something I haven't shown yet. It'll probably be in my second miscellaneous video for Road to Tekken 8. But in Tekken 7, there were some rare situations where you could hit it, end up +10, and guarantee the while standing kicks. Okay, so this is a move I've really liked for pressure. I probably used it more than other people did. You can dash into it with forward, 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 plus both kicks, and like dash into this, and if they're still trying to block off of it, do that a couple times and try to get them to press something. Okay, so this is a new animation on his down forward 2. The hit felt a little different, and they actually changed this since we got this video. So if we look in the Lee trailer here, pretty close to the start, he does a down forward 2. Okay. Just after this, yeah, right here, he does down forward 2, and it got a new animation from that. I doubt that it launches on crouching. If it does, they'll probably make it punishable, but then that also feels kind of dumb because up forward 4 already covers that frame window and is already punishable and already launches crouch. I feel like with the animation change, maybe it'll be a little more consistent on range, but I also feel like it's not going to go under jabs a lot like it used to. So I don't know if this is going to be a buff or a nerf or sort of a little bit of both. Okay. So here we have down forward 3-2-3. Just like before. I-15. Natural combo for the first 2 hits, but the third hit is not natural. If you hit the second hit on counter hit, then the third is guaranteed. So it's natural counter hit only when the second is the counter hit. So we used to use this from the side and back because it was a ton of damage for a launcher. And the way that it flipped them, if you were behind them and then hit 2 for your first hit in the combo, it would pop them upright face forward. So you could do normal combos on them instead of back combos. But now, since it's not knocking down, it says it's +13. But I think in these situations they can block. Just you have a large frame advantage. But we have some questions. What happens when we hit this from the side or when we hit it from the back? If we get an angle that they can't block, do they just get knocked down? Or do they still go in this animation? Do they go into this animation from the front or from behind? Because if they go into this animation from behind and we're close enough, +13 and the frames to turn, we can probably get some launches or other stuff at least. Or completely guaranteed down forward 4-4 or back to forward 2-1 from the back, which we'll see what they kept on the range, because forward 2-1 from the back used to guarantee blazing kick, and then they fixed forward +2/1, trying to add more range to it so it would wall splat more consistently, and it still didn't for a really long time. Like, am I getting the wall splat or not? But that extra push away that they gave made it so Blazing Kick wouldn't reach in that situation anymore. So it actually felt like a nerf to me and how I used it a lot. But we'll have to see here. So they do recover crouching, we can see, and we're +13. What will happen with this on the side or the back? So I'm really interested to test that. So here, like we said, down forward 4. Lots of people have been saying down forward 4/4, but I don't know if they just forgot to list it here or if both hits come out automatically on down forward 4. When we have seen down forward 4/3, it does cancel after just the first hit. So it's like the traditional one kick and drop back into Hitman. Okay, so this is +17. They can block. Interesting, they don't recover crouching on this one. This isn't the sit down effect. But we get this initiation into heat, the heat engager. And in the Lee Cord, one of the old guys who's been around a long time too, he was a Lee and Lars player, said playing and checking things with Lars, that during the heat engager only, you could buffer while running 3 or while running moves fully into the bufferable period at the end of this. So it might be acting kind of like in the Tekken games when you tag in and you can like buffer into a slash kick or a dive or things like that. And that wouldn't be bad versus Lee because he's got his while running 3/4, which I noticed in a match did chip damage too. I can't remember if it was during heat, if that's only a heat thing or any time. But we also get a lot of plus frames out of while running 3/4. And if we cancel the Hitman, it's +6. And besides our other tools now, his throw can be done directly from Hitman, I think it was listed, and it's up forward plus both punch now for what used to be his forward +3/+4. So being able to consistently bring that out at 12 frames when you're +6 after forcing block, I think it's going to be a good time there. So we could heat engager, we could while running 3/4. If they don't get hit, we could do that. If they do get hit, I noticed in the match, it seemed to be about just the perfect place for a slide. So lots of people have been complaining about a slide, but if we hit it at max distance, it's safe. I think with the frames there, they might not be able to low parry. We could get it so we hit at max distance, -9 on block, and on hit it would be +9, so you get a lot of pressure, and also be able to mix up from that into forward 3, which is totally safe now. And if we're already in heat and that hits, be able to potentially go into a combo off of it. So I think we'll be able to have some good pressure off of series like these. Okay, down +2, still +8 on hit. So thing that I used to do, I've seen a couple other people do it too. You hit down 2, they took the hit, do it again until they learn to not get hit by it. A lot of times they'll try and step and they kind of get caught doing that. Okay, so important to note, we saw also that this is +13 on counter hit now, and they're standing. Yeah, so anyway, maybe it was the main man video that did the slide thing I was thinking of earlier. And I think we saw it in there. +13 on counter hit, and so max damage off of that is probably going to be the acid rain. But it seemed a little bit iffy. If you hit down 2 at max range, then it might not connect. If you're close enough, it should. And you can either judge that and decide, or you can go for down forward 4/4 into whatever, or 4/4 into whatever, or forward +1/2 to always be able to hit and knock down. Okay, silver low, down 3. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So this is a little better now. It's -1 on hit. It used to be -3. Traditionally, the Hitman transition has been 2 frames faster. So I think it's just a difference in their hit stun though, because I was wondering if this would make the back 3 pickup combo easier. But when I looked at the counter hit frames in one of the other tests, it looked like the flooring them was the same as it is now. But anyway, we might be a little safer on hit going from -3 to -1 now, and on Hitman, probably from -1 to +1. Granted, our fastest Hitman move is Hitman 1 into the Freaker Jabs, which has a nice new string now, but that's I-12. So we're effectively kind of still at -1 from Hitman. If we got a perfect cancel with the down back in the older games, that would put us at 0, but then you can't buffer a move after it. If you cancel to a normal move, you'd have to time it perfectly to be able to attack on that 0. Still, could be quite good. If they want to challenge us with jabs, they have to worry about some other things that go under it. We can do up, forward, both punch for the command throw out of it now at I-12. So we'll still have a decent threat. It's not like they necessarily have a lot of advantage here. Okay, down 4, neutral 4, so same as before, probably only natural on counter hit. This was kind of disappointing to me, but it's the same as it's been for a while. So you notice no numbers popped up, so none of this is natural. If you hit the third kick on counter, then it's probably natural combo to the final kick. This is a really bad string. Even on hit, you can low parry each of the next lows. And it's worse on hit than block. So if you do it and stop, I'm trying to remember, I think you're -15, they can launch you. So if you lose the guessing game there, they launch you off of it. If you win the guessing game, you do almost no damage and you're in the same situation. So I used to use down 4, it's I-12, it's low, as a counter hit fisher. And it's -14 itself on hit. But it used to be, back in Tekken 6 at least, I'm not sure how Teg 2 was, but if the second hit on counter, the third and fourth kicks were natural combo. So if you did down 4 and you have a little delay and you thought they were going to respond to try and punish you, you hit the second 4 and see that it's counter, then you can finish the third and fourth kick. So second hit on counter, guaranteed the third and fourth. But they changed that in Tekken 7, and it's just really worthless now. I do not recommend this. It's probably a scrub killer, but it will get you killed as a scrub if you use this too much in high-level play. Okay, so we got that still. Bump kick. We haven't seen what happens with counter hit on it now, if anything. It got worse. It's not plus anymore. It's minus on hit. So we're wondering what other properties there might be with it. Does it give something on counter hit? Or did they just not want to give you the advantage on a safer low? Because one of the benefits before was it was only -12. So say you're playing versus Kazuya or something, you can poke with this, and if he blocks it, he can't twin pistons you. So we'll have to look a little more, but on the surface, just what we see right here, it looks like a nerf. Okay, down back 3-4. Oh, the one thing though, we might have some mental frames on it if we're in heat, because it does look like the same startup as our heat engager, and if they try attacking right after that, they're gonna eat something to the face. Though we probably have like a sound effect or a flash on that, so it's probably not that great, but maybe a couple mental frames. Okay, this looks like an improvement. I think it got a little faster. It's +4. The frames look the same as before, so if you hit it at tip range, you can get 1 frame better, so we'd end up +5, and 1 frame safer. And there is actually 2 frames that you can hit it later, but in my experience, I think that only comes when they sidestep and you track enough and it hits very late in the animation on a sidestep. I don't think we normally get that at tip range on Axis. Okay, triple Fang. Let's go back. So we see the combo counter here, which means it's still natural combo on normal hit. In the old games, it was only the just frame was a natural. And then I think it was Tekken 6 when this became natural for the non-just frame version. So 33 damage, we're +1, versus the JF version, 41 damage, and knocks them back. And I think they can still back recover that, just like in Tekken 7, and try and put a little pressure on them. So this is new. Back 1 and 2. I really like this. I think it's going to be good for carries late in juggle. There are certain instances where going into the combo, it burns the tornado immediately, like counter hit Hitman 4 or counter hit up back 3. Probably counter hit punch parry 4. I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing. So you have to do a combo without the tornado. And traditionally, we could get 7 back 2s consistently. You could back 1 on hit 8, but nothing would connect after that back 1. We might have a couple options now. Misstep 3-4 for the little jumping slide is much quicker now. That might reach them. Because Sway 4 was too slow to hit before they could tech roll off of back 1. You could do it off back 2, but not back 1. But the other thing is if we hit this at aerial hit 8, I think this will give us enough range for the second hit to connect on aerial hit 9. So that'll be good for carries, especially when we don't have the tornado to burn. So you could do your whole carry, back 2, whatever other fillers earlier for more damage. Aerial hit 7, back 2, aerial hit 8, back 1, 2. One thing I can't forget to mention here, for all the triple Fang moves, look at this. 14. So it got better now. It used to be I-15, but now it is I-14, which makes it quite strong as a punish if they're not in a crouching state. I don't see why you would use 3-3 or forward 2-1 now. So 3-3 might still be good if we can still hit confirm it or as a safe mid and things like that. Mix up to Hitman, whatever. Forward 2-1 maybe as a wall splat, but if they're high, you might as well go for this now. It's more damage. It still knocks down. It's, I think, got better range overall as well. So this is really nice. The other thing that it means is if we still have the wacky buffer from misstep, so that was in one of the other videos I did recently, like through Tekken 7, misstep does have a buffer just before recovery, but it only takes the first input. So if you try and do the back 2 to back 1 link, you can do it somewhat easy if you get used to pressing the back and the 1 on exactly the same frame. But the weird thing about the buffer is if you hold back for even 1 frame before and press 1, the 1 will not come out on recovery, only the back. So if it's still kind of weird like that out of the misstep, then after the misstep, we used to have like a 2-frame window for hitting this, but assuming you didn't get them on the same frame, that meant if your back was first, we had a really small window anyway. So it's like a 2-frame window for the back 2 to back 1 link if you weren't using the buffer period. Now this will get 1 better. It's 3. It'll be a little easier to hit or be more consistent even if you don't use the buffer period. Same frame tech if we still have the wacky buffer period there. So I know that's kind of, way down the rabbit hole, but that's one of the things I want to test when we get to Tekken 8 as well is how does the misstep and misstep buffer work? Also cancels out a Hitman. Are those similar? Have they changed? Is it still 2 frames to cancel with back versus 1 frame to cancel with down back, etc., etc. Okay. So yeah, I think that'll be a really strong juggle tool, especially very late in juggle. We might be able to get things like 8 hits tornado into deep dash back 2 misstep back 1+2 or things like that. I'm really excited to explore combo routes in this game. I think there's going to be a lot more variety and a lot of choices. Do I want to use my heat or not? It's going to make scaling worse if I use it from the heat burst later in combo, but I can get more carry versus do I want to get burn the rest of the bar and get the heat dash in the combo to get back 4 into an unscaled down 3 at the end. Or I think there are going to be so many choices in the combos now, which makes it a lot more fun. Because in Tekken 7, I didn't really it felt like just kind of dial a combo. Like, okay, well, I have one optimal choice here and I don't really have much decision making to do. So this looks really fun to me. Okay, so back 2, same, back 2-4-3. Back 2-4 into Hitman. Looked a little faster in this video. He does it in a couple combos. Or in one combo coming up right here. Okay, so these strong walls look like they take 2 break hits to break. So there's the second one. He uses his Power Crush back +3/+4 as a heat engager. It breaks the wall. I'm not sure if they're always like this or it just ran him in because he used that into heat engager. Or the heat dash off of it. And then right here, this feels like it transitioned way quicker than in Tekken 7. Back 2-4, if you look at my Hitman cancels video, it's like one of the absolute worst Hitman cancel moves. It's so incredibly negative. Yeah, but he's able to transition a lot faster this time, get the Hitman up forward 4, which now, it didn't used to guarantee anything. They could stand even before down back 1. So I went and tested that just a couple days ago, and then I was really excited to see this because I knew some of the spike moves seem to spike them for longer now and last longer. And so this, apparently, if this is the truth, looks like it guarantees up back 3 now. I was hoping for at least down 3, but this is really strong if we can get this. And given the tornado mechanic in this game, we might be close enough after tornado to like dash manual Hitman up forward 4 and then maybe get down 3 off of it mid stage or something like that. Okay, so anyway, here's one to pay attention to. This is a big change in Tekken 8 for us. Check this out. Back 3-3. Ho 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 ho. Combo counter popped up. That means this is natural combo now. It's a low high. Back 1-1, natural combo for 21 damage off of a 16 frame low with good range, -1 on hit. And in Tekken 7, if I remember right, so it was only natural combo on counter. I think it was +2 when the second hit connected with misstep. So if that's the same, back 3-3 misstep would be a low high that when it hits puts us into pressure. So this could be really big for our offense going into Tekken 8. Okay, silver heel. Looks like it's about the same. If it's the same as before, if you hit near the tip, you're 1 frame better. Hitman recovers you 1 frame faster than not. It used to improve tracking, so we'll need to check that again. Does going to Hitman still improve the tracking on this? Before, yeah, it was a little kind of safer to go to Hitman. You'd get 1 frame better, but it also took at least 1 frame to cancel out with the quarter circle back cancel, but it sat you back further, so it was harder for them to punish by range and all of that stuff. You would get less damage on a combo versus a raw back 4 with no Hitman, but yeah, we'll kind of check these out and test them once we get access to the game, and it does force the opponent into crouch here. Okay, so this is his Power Crush, and it's a heat engager, and it does wall break stuff too. And this is safe on block, and if I remember right, not that minus. I think I want to say you're minus, but you can still move after it. So I think that'll be good in some ways, and it should splat when you're at the wall. Give the heat engager otherwise. +17, but they can block here, so you get your mix-up. Okay, so this is an interesting one. I have a few videos to show you now. So it still hits grounded, and let me see if I can find them. It still hits grounded. On counter hit, it starts a combo now. They go directly to Tornado. So you can't use Tornado in your combo after that. So they start with Tornado. But on counter hit, you can run in 4 up 3, start your combo, whatever. So forward 2. We haven't seen it yet. But it seems to be quite good damage. It can cancel the misstep. The problem about using it early in a combo, say you like down forward 2, and then if you want to start with forward 2 forward, the problem is it itself is a tornado move. And so you waste your tornado right on the first hit. But if the tornado is already spent, like when this hits counter hit, we could forward, forward 2, misstep, 4, up 3, into back 2, into, the rest of a combo. So it could even just be something like forward, forward 2, misstep, 4, up 3, back 2, back 2, back 2, back 2, back 1, 1 plus 2, 9 aerial hits, something like that. Good carry. Okay. So, yeah, I guess for style points, if you want to do this, I don't think it was super great in normal matches. Maybe if you think they're going to get up with a wake up 3 or something, you can do that and hit the wall and hold down, and while standing 2-3, high wall splat them. But, yeah. So these look the same. Still natural combo. Can still pick up off that. Silver arrow's the same. So just a little trivia for those of you who are not as old and boomer as me and haven't been around Tekken as long. Up through Tekken 5 DR, his silver knee was 14 frames. You block Jack down forward 2, knee him in the face. Oh man, I miss that. So yeah, in Tekken 5 is punishment probably not as good as now overall, but he still had some really good stuff. 3-3 I-12 was great. I'll do some videos on some of the older games at some point. Okay, so this one looks same as before. You can go to Hitman. If you do go to Hitman 1+2 picks them up off of this. The 2 hits are close enough that it pops them up off the ground, like Jin's down back 2-2, which is why I was thinking in some of the other heat engagers where you're not in heat yet and it puts them in a similar state, if we have enough time for it, we could do manual Hitman into immediate Hitman 1-2 and potentially pop them off the ground like that. Okay, that's the same as before. Another little random bit of trivia. Almost everybody's up forward neutral 4 is 23 frames, except for Law. For some strange ungodly reason, his is 19 frames. This used to be an important frame to know because in the older games, I think through Tekken 6 at least, not sure about Tag 2, Hitman 4 was minus 22 on block. So it was just out of range for people to delay hop kick, but Law could get his delayed hop kick. Okay, so here's the new forward 2. So we get 23 damage on it. It's plus 18 on hit. And on block, it becomes 3 frames better. So I'm not sure if the same thing applies on hit. Maybe we're plus 21 if we misstep in, which is sort of very interesting to me. Because even though they recover crouching, if we do catch them standing, trying to defend, mistrap is 30 frames. So if with the misstep, this becomes plus 21, if they're deciding to defend high or try and move or do anything else, basically on frames at least, if they don't crush us or move around it, we should be able to hit mistrap before they can hit anything on us. Okay, so this can also be used for wall break, and as I mentioned, it is a tornado move. And this is quite good damage, especially compare it to where we can stick this in compared to back 2. Back 2 doesn't really do a lot of damage. It's great for connecting things and carry, but where we can get this instead, this might be optimal. I kind of doubt we're going to be able to do like forward 2 misstep, forward 2 misstep, or things like that. But this also puts them high on the wall, and if it recovers pretty quickly, like back 2 in a misstep, and especially with us being able to get forward buffers now, we might be able to do things like if we saved for the wall, forward 2 misstep, and it pops them up, forward 2 misstep, high wall hit, doesn't count towards slump, forward 2 misstep, normal wall hit, into, with that new buffer, forward 3 as a low wall hit, or, depending on how it acts, potentially even into a well-timed while running 3, because we only have to time the last forward and the 3 input 1 hit later. And that changed over time too. In Tekken 7, if you hit while running 3-4 with the while running 3 as a low wall hit, they could tech roll and the 4 would whiff. But I'm pretty sure in Tag 2, where we first got that move, the 4 was guaranteed in that case. So it was a way to get them into bind at wall without wasting slump on the wall. So some potentially really strong things there. And if that does work to the final hit, while running 3-4 can still be back recovered, but we would have a lot of frames and a lot of advantage there. So yeah, a lot to play around with. We have to see how quickly it recovers, but it could be really good as your first hit on the wall too if you didn't use the I keep forgetting the name of it, tornado yet, to pop them up high on the wall. So I think this is going to be pretty useful. So 23 damage. In the just frame version, the frames are the same, but it's 26 damage. So you get 3 more damage. And if you... see, what was I going to say? If you're doing this in heat, then it will give you back a portion of the heat bar. Okay, it's forward 3. A heat engager. I think it automatically puts you into the heat engager when you're not in heat yet. I don't think you have to hold forward for it. When you're in heat, you get the option. If you forward 3 and don't hold forward, it doesn't spend your heat for the run. If you do hold forward, then it does spend your heat for the run. That's where we would use it in combos. So frames are the same, but like I said, with the forward buffer now, I think it may be, depending on if it takes the 3 input in the buffer as well, or just the dash, somewhere between much easier and incredibly easy to time this as a punish. Okay. Forward 4, same as before, blazing kick. So one thing about blazing kick, because we have to hold the down back at least 1 frame before we press the 4, this can't come out of a buffer window. I don't know if that's going to change at all. It would be really nice if we could buffer this, but that's the whole reason why, say, after Acid Rain, up back 3 is incredibly easy. You just hold back and mash the 3. And Blazing Kick is guaranteed, but you have to time it because you're timing it right for your recovery since you can't buffer any of it. So we'll see if that changes or not now. One of the things we saw in the video and we see here, it also is a tornado hit. So we'll go take a look at that real quick. So that was in here. I think it was one of these combos just after this. So back 4. I have some questions about this. We'll come to this in just a second. And then down to down back 4. And it gives the tornado with this flop, and then you can follow up from that. So real quickly, before we move back to other stuff. So Blazing Kick might be really useful in combos, or even if you get to the wall, if you haven't spent tornado yet, if you're not close enough for back 2, or you need more range or to catch them lower, you might be able to Blazing Kick and pop them up for that first hit. Depending on the recovery, because the thing about popping them up too, we could get a high wall hit, but we have to recover quickly enough that we can hit them high wall before they start slumping down again. And slump and wall combos might act differently than before, but assuming that it's the same where high wall doesn't count, low wall grounded doesn't count, the normal wall hits do count towards slump, and the more hits you have there, the quicker they slump. If it's still the same like that, then we would be looking for probably a single hit tornado if we saved it for the wall to push them up, and something that recovers quick enough that we can get a high wall hit. For example, if this did recover quick enough, or forward 2 misstep recovered quick enough, easy combo off that would be 4 up 3, the 4 hits high wall, into forward 4-3 into down 3. So it'll be nice with Lee again and having real control over when and how you spend your tornado, that we can save it for the wall. In Tekken 7, that did nothing for us, but in Tekken 6, we were a beast because we had really good carry, we could adjust easily, and we could save it for the wall and get a huge wall finish once we got there on our carry. So real quick, going back just a second, there's this other animation that I'm wondering about. So this, where they kind of corkscrew through the air. So this is different than our tornado. And a few moves go to this. We've seen back 2-4-3 does this, while standing 2-4 does this, and back 4 does this. Now what kind of confused me about this is I'm pretty sure that this is techable. And I'm wondering if in this trailer they gave us a combo that's not a true combo, that Lars is just not tech rolling. Because right here, it looks like he's already hit the ground. And here, in this other video, we can see this in a couple instances in the play beta test. So unless they change something on that, since this, and we can see Steve instantly tech rolls it. He'll do it again in a second on Paul, 2 times, and Paul does the back recovery instantly. So right here, Paul holds back and instantly goes to this. Same thing again. And you might be able to catch some other stuff guaranteed and have some Oki situations here. But I feel like in the trailer, if it didn't change, I feel like this shouldn't be guaranteed. Or maybe they're considered airborne the first couple frames on a back recovery or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe things have changed since the beta, but this will be something that we have to test out here. So I mentioned up back 3 on counter hit burns the tornado and leads to a full combo afterwards. So one of the other things that's very interesting is this. Check this out.
That there is still no full
So up back 3 itself in combo also gives tornado.
tutorial mode in the game. Like obviously I started of the con.
Okay.
Right? And I think that
Here we go. Counter hit 1+2. And you might not want to do this if you want to save your tornado for other stuff, but she's not fully grounded yet by the time the up back 3 hits. Watch what happens.
number one thing for me is that
Tornado into combo. So I think up back 3 is going to be really strong for a number of situations. It's still +13 too on a normal hit. I don't know if they'll stay any closer mid-stage, but at wall we used to get down 4, neutral 4, up 3 off it. And I don't know what we can do with it or if it'll be any better, but it's +13 technically before they can tech roll. So at the wall or close enough to it, you could get up back 3 on normal hit into down forward 4 and the 2 hit from that and the heat engager and whatever else happens for that. If it doesn't heat engage when they're already in the air, then we'll see what properties we get. Does it spike? Does it do something else? So we'll have some testing off of that. But normal hit, still +13. Pops them back. I'm not sure if we're any closer or if follow-ups there just at the wall. Still hits grounded. On counter hit, burns tornado immediately and leads to a full combo. And when they're considered airborne, so like this, grounded but not fully grounded yet, so it can be floated, burns the tornado and you can go into a combo with that. Might be really strong in certain Oki situations too, if any of the get up activities are kind of considered floatable. So I'm not sure yet, but that's something that definitely we're going to test. Okay. So there was back 4, which before is good on block. It was really good on Hitman. Frames wise, it tracks. The problem was when you went to Hitman, you couldn't really juggle off of it. I think you could get Hitman up forward 4. If that happens quick enough now that it spikes instead of them being grounded, then we should at least get something after it, since we saw with that spike in the gameplay reveal. Hitman up forward 4 to up back 3. So mid stage we might get something like Hitman up forward 4, down 3. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so here we go. While running 3-4. Same as before, pretty much. Some floor break stuff going on here. They can back recover it, but you have a lot of frame advantage. On block, I think it's +3 normally, and it's like +6 if you go to Hitman, which is really strong now. And we'll see what happens with the Hitman buffers and cancels out of that. But especially with up forward plus both punch, the command throw being able to come from Hitman now at I-12, there's a lot of pressure with that. Counter hit throws are harder to break and all sorts of things. I think we'll get a lot of good pressure here. His 10 hit, yeah, use it from the back. Down forward 1-2-2 is natural combo, but it's -9. If you think they'll still block high, you can down forward 1-2-2-1, and that's going to be safe, but they can duck the high. Yeah. Don't really use this very much. Even though it was the first 10 hit combo I learned in Tekken 2. Back in the Christmas I got my PlayStation, along with Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Good times, good memories. It's got the taunt. I'm interested to know if that's cancelable. Yeah, let's see. So while standing 1-2, it's not as plus as while standing 1-4. While standing 1-4 also does a little more damage and can transition to Hitman. We've also seen it appears while standing 1 itself can transition to Hitman 2. And it is very quick on that transition. While standing 1-2, on the other hand, maybe it's less punishable on block. I'm not sure if that's it. But you can cancel to misstep off of it. So we saw that in the gameplay reveal trailer while standing 1-2 misstep. And then they did 3-4 and Lars ducked like a dummy. Misstep 3 is jump status from frame 1, which is a lot better than like the knee. I think is like frame 7. Most things are like frame 7. And we'll see up here, maybe if they have it, misstep 3+4, the jumping slide comes out way quicker now than it used to. So it might have some combo applications or an actual decent mix-up with misstep 3-4. Risk reward might not always be the greatest for us, but it should be a lot harder to see and differentiate those two on startup. Okay, while standing 2-3, very similar to before. The float at the end of the combo is not as good, but it does give Tornado, which could be a blessing and a curse, because we can get Tornado in juggle from it. We can use it on the wall to pop them up higher, though we had at least one normal hit to slump in that case, unless we started at high wall, and I hadn't thought of that, but that's really interesting to think about. If we, while standing 2-3, where the while standing 2 hits them high wall, does the 3 make them super high wall, or like what happens there? Random factoid about that I don't think we're getting back. In Tekken Tag 2, back 4 does a lot of damage. Back 4-3, if they were very high in Lee's hitbox, would hit twice for some reason. So you get 2 hits from a very strong hit. Mid-stage, there was nothing you could do for this. You couldn't really use it as tag filler because canceling to Hitman wouldn't tag your partner back in. But at the wall, if you got them on high wall, you could hit back 4-3 for 2 very chunky hits. Cancel out into instant while running 3-4 with a low wall hit on the 3. And then the 4 wouldn't count towards slump because it was the bound tag assault. And perfectly timed in the tag assault, you could back 4-3 as high wall too if you had Lee Violet. And get another 2 massive hits on it that don't count towards slump. And then finish something with him and go back to Lee again on the first. And it was really hard to execute, but very, very good damage. So I doubt that's back, but if it is, it would be fun to play with. While standing 2-4, gives the weird corkscrew spin that we were talking about before that pops them up a lot. So I think it'll still have some juggle uses as well. Okay, plus 13 on hit. So that's, I think, a little less than before. There's some other frame changes. I think Hitman 3 was a frame slower than before. I think Hitman 4 comes out faster now. We're not sure how safe Hitman 4 is going to be on block. On hit, it's plus 4 now. It doesn't knock him down. Okay, so he's got his infinite kick string, same as before. The first two are natural, and then they have a guessing game. I think while standing 3-3, if we can get some situations for it, we saw it a lot more in Tekken 6, instances where you can get it on them from back turn. For example, in Tekken 6, counter hit 2-2-3, feather landing. If they stood up, it hit him from behind and you got guaranteed while standing 3-3 down 3. Depending on the Yoki situations, and if there are any situations where if they try standing, we hit slide from behind, we only need one extra frame, so not being right next to them, just a little further, to guarantee, if the turning frames are the same, to guarantee while standing 3-3 from behind. Then depending on how they tried to turn, if they tried with back and you're plus 4, while standing 3-3 should hit guaranteed. They can turn, but can't block, at least in the Tekken 7 system. If they tried turning with down back, it takes longer before they can actually turn. And so you do while standing 3-3, you confirm you're hitting them from behind, and if you're very close, you can down forward 3-3, and if you're a little further, you down 3-3. So we might have some situations with that, and I feel like I'm going to try to find some really interesting applications of the slide. I know a lot of people have kind of been really shitting on the slide, and they don't like the change and that it doesn't sweep and things like that. But with the variable frames and being able to get safe on block or get to where we have a lot more plus frames on hit if it was from further away, I think there will be some interesting situations in Oki where we can guarantee some other stuff. So we've seen it at range get to at least plus 9. I think that was in Arsenality's video too. Minus 9 on block, plus 9 on hit. And if you do that from behind, plus 9, Silver Knee should be guaranteed on their turn. At plus 8, while standing 2-3 should be guaranteed on their turn. And depending on how they turn, it's from the front or the back. And then you confirm which way they are and you do something off it. If you're behind on the back, you get back 1-1 into a full juggle. If it's from the front, you get your forward 3 at least. If you're in heat mode, you get forward 3, hold forward, and combo off that. Okay, so here we go. Silver Tail's the same. I love this move. It's especially with the Hitman cancels before, one of his safer lows. Comes out at 16 frames, and we had a buffer so we could consistently get it to come out of Hitman on the buffer before. So we'll see if the cancels get any faster, if we can still do those things. But yeah, with the quarter circle back cancel from Hitman, we were able to make it so it was minus 14 on block, which was really important versus, or minus 13 on block, 2 block. Because it said minus 12 into Hitman, but that was just to do Hitman moves, and blocking with back in most of the Hitman moves took 2 frames, and then you could block on the third. So the minus 12 was essentially minus 14 to block. But with the quarter circle back, it would buffer the down back recovery, but you're still holding back by the block frame by the time you recover. So it was 1 quicker. It added 1 frame, so we were minus 12, plus 1 for the cancel on 13, and we could block by frame 14. So this was really important, especially versus like Jin, Raven, Bob, people with 14 frame launchers, because it would make it safe versus their launch. And if they tried to launch it, which they could normally do if someone just held back, or if they didn't cancel the Hitman, they'd hit you. So that was the thing they should go for, but then you could block their launcher and punish accordingly and get your damage back on them. So yeah, we'll play around with this again. We'll see if it's the same. If it is the same, it's great. If it's better, amazing. I just hope we haven't lost some of that. I really liked having those cancels and the sort of technicality to movement. Okay, flip kick looks the same. Rainbow drop looks the same. Rainbow drop, I like crossing up with it, but technically I think they could block with neutral guard as long as they're not pushing something. So here's his little dragon dash. They call it slide step. And then we have his slide, which +3 on hit, but you can see you have this range. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, +6 frames at the max distance. So we can get +9 on hit from this. Interestingly, counter hit, it does knock him down, and it seems to be at least +1 frame. I think it might have been TMM's video, which I didn't have up here. Sorry about that. But I saw a counter hit at either max range or close to it, and it showed +1 on the frames, or compared to the others, so +10. So it grounds them, and it's +10. What's interesting about that is the plus, when you ground them, is the frames that you can float from. And Lee's while standing 3, unless it's very tip range, is I-10. So I'm not sure if we'll be close enough mid-stage, but if you set up a situation where maybe an Oki, they floated near the wall, and you do a slide from max range and they're pressing, and you get the counter hit there, we can probably float with while standing 3-3. Might be able to float them onto the wall, while standing 3, float to the wall, blazing kick, 4 up 3, forward 4, 3 down 3, something like that. If we're on a breakable stage, you could while standing 3-3 to break the floor and go down. But yeah, I don't think the slide is going to be as bad as people thought. I think it's just not an in-your-face mix-up as much, or at least the risk-reward isn't as good for that. But there are different styles, and at the Lee-offs that I played in Korea and Japan, I lived in Korea for a year, Japan for 14. One of the things that was cool about Lee that I loved was everybody's Lee had a different style. Back in Tekken 6, Bruce, it was like everybody played the same style, and it was just about how consistent they were with him. Like, it was very hard to tell the difference between Bruce players. Lee, there are so many ways that people can approach the match and play him, and I tended to be really safe. So me throwing like raw slide mix-ups was usually only if I was behind on life and time was getting short. And it's like, okay, the risk reward isn't good, but I have to try something. I tended to try and play low risk, mid reward for most of my stuff. So I feel like I didn't overuse the slide that much, and I'm not too worried about it. I used it a ton in Tekken 6, but not from a neutral situation and Oki stuff. Oh god, it was amazing there. I'll make a video on that sometime too, I promise. I want people to see how busted his Oki was in Tekken 6 so that they can feel my pain for everything we lost. I'm really hoping we get some more interesting Oki stuff in this game. But anyway, counter hit slide, max range, knocks down, +10. So we'll see what happens from that. So the just frame version, frames are the same. You do get the flash, and it's just pressing the 3 right when you get to down forward. But you might not always want to do that, especially since the frames are the same, because if you're trying to use that motion to kind of threaten a mix-up or go from that motion into forward 3, you might not opt to do it. And the difference is 23 damage on the just frame, 20 damage on the normal. So it's just a +3 damage, or if you're in heat, you will get a portion of the heat bar back. Okay, so there's the just frame, misstep 3-4. So this is jump status from frame 1 traditionally, which I just learned today from the Lee chord. I didn't use this move too much, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see also how early in the misstep we can press it. Can we defend, buffer misstep, and get it very quickly after? Traditionally, it seemed to take a little bit of startup, so it wasn't quite as fast as it looks here. But we'll see. I'll test it again, because it is better damage for a juggle starter. And here, watch this. Misstep 3+4. So this is his slight jumping slide. It's also +3. A little less damage, 17. Forces crouch. I think his normal slide forced crouch too. And he comes out from full crouch as well. Both characters are. But look at this animation. miss 3-4. I think it's going to be a lot harder than it used to be. Maybe they can fuzzy, but you can also delay your 3-4 press and the misstep and things like that. But I think this is a lot more applicable than it used to be. And it might even be applicable in combos, because we used to be able to back 2, sway 4. If we were really late in juggle, if you got perfect back 2 inputs, you could hit the 8th in juggle and then get sway 4 on the 9th hit. But I feel like this is going to be easier to input. You can press it later in the misstep. And you get good forward movement. So there might be some interesting or weird combo applications. Maybe this is a thing like I was talking about earlier, where we're setting up Oki, where if they come down, you hit that, you're in full crouch, and you can do a max range slide, depending on what their wake up is, so that you end up with better frames. We'll test some things to try and approach that creatively. Okay, sway 4. Okay, +3 now. I forget what it was in Tekken 7. I think it was +4 at one point in Tag 2. Okay, Hitman 1. So it's still the freaker jab, and you can still cancel it to misstep. You can still cancel it into 1-3 to get extra range on the Hitman 3. But this is the new combo that he has from Hitman. So it replaced his old freaker jabs. It's 1-1-1. So it starts I-12. And it knocks them down. It looks like they can probably back recover from this, but you can pressure or whatever else. It'll wall splat. 34 damage. Ooh, look at this. We see the 3 here. That means it's natural combo. Natural on normal hit. Some people thought Nina got hit because it was counter hit in the little trailer here. Whoops. So we had right up here. No, not that. Sorry, earlier. Slide. They thought it was natural combo counter because they saw her trying to throw a mid. And granted, that was a really slow mid. It was down forward too. But yeah, anyway, we can see from this video, it is in fact natural combo on normal hit. So we'll play around with that, see what the uses are. Like I said, sometimes when you're in Hitman and they start trying to step, the freaker jab can catch them a little bit. Like the tracking doesn't seem super bad on it. So yeah, more testing to be done. We'll see where we can use this. Okay, Hitman 1-4 still there. We don't know if we can delay the kick. I always try to give it a slight delay because with no delay, they can't press anything. They're still just jailed in the block stun. But if you have a slight delay on the 4, it allows them to press something and get counter hit by it. So we'll see if we still have the delay or not. It's +4 on hit. Less damage than the freaker jab string, but probably safer overall as far as like you can't get ducked and launched. Okay, Hitman 2. I think this is the same startup as before. Apparently, we can use this as a tornado move in combo. Hitman 3, I think this is a frame slower than before. And we'll have to see if they changed the power crush window, because power crushes don't start instantly, which is how we could test, Silvertail on block is -12 to Hitman. So if you press 3, he'll scream and you'll see a little flash from frame 13, but you still get hit in the face by whatever. So I think it takes normally like, I don't know exactly, somewhere between 4 and 6 frames for the power crush to actually start up. So a little slower, but we'll see what the power crush startup is on it. It's still tracking. And it might do that kind of corkscrew thing in combo, but we can't tell for sure because there's no icon for that here. Okay, Hitman 4. So it comes out pretty quick. We got the 22 frames on it, +4 on hit. On counter hit, it tornadoes immediately, and you can run up for a juggle. They recover crouching, so +4, they recover crouching. We're not totally sure if Lee himself is crouching there or not. He might be. We'd have to see someone try something after it. So yeah, I haven't quite decided on this yet now. If the spike from back 4 lasts longer, we might be able to get like back 4 Hitman 4 as a combo ender, but maybe not. There just needs to be more testing. I haven't really made my mind up about this move. Okay, so Hitman 1+2. This is not, you can go to Hitman. It recovers in Hitman. So Hitman 1+2 seems to automatically go back to Hitman. Fortunately, it does move you forward, so it doesn't sit you back way far if you hit them. But so for example, if you did, forward 3 into that heat dash initiation, where you're not in heat yet, it puts you into it, so you don't float off of it, or like his power crush to it or whatever, where it kind of sits them on the ground, but you can't float. But if manual Hitman 1+2 pops them off the ground with that, and it gets them to a wall, then we could Hitman up forward 4 and then guaranteed up back 3. So there might be like some little mini combos like that. Okay, so we have this one. We talked about it earlier. You can recover full crouch if you want. Okay, Hitman up forward 4. They recover crouching, and on hit it doesn't knock down anymore, but it's plus 13. So it kind of depends on their hitbox. If they're technically standing by recovery, which I don't think they will, because this is probably crouch status, so I don't think we'll get forward and both punch off this or acid rain. Should be able to get down forward 1-2-2, which is natural, but it's -9 on hit. It's not real great. But down forward 4 should hit. So we'll probably get those 2 hits into heat engager, or again, we'll have to find out what its frames and properties are like if your heat is already spent. Okay, throws. I haven't researched this too much yet, but I heard throws are pretty OP in Tekken 8. Properties as counters and as punishes. I'm not sure. I heard someone say they weren't breakable. I think Crazy Dongpol did a video or something like that. Or maybe the break window is really small if they're used as punishes, which if it's really unbreakable as a punish, that's really OP. Some people get, full combos off of throws that could be used as punishes instead of like an I-12. So if that is the case, which I'm not sure, I believe it just hearing it now, but if it were, I expect it to be patched pretty quickly, because that would be OP. That would mean anytime we're -12, you just punish with up forward both punch into feather landing and get a bunch of damage and pressure. And yeah, I don't know about that. So anyway, side throws, stunner, back throw. Okay, so this is his this is his new input for his forward 3+4 throw. Up forward both punch, which means it will be very easy to buffer with it and get it on frame 12 coming out. It's 12 frames. We still get feather landing after it, just like before. It says plus 23. Oh, that needs to be tested. So plus 23. Up back 3 is 16 frames. Blazing Kick's not going to hit before they're fully grounded, because I think Blazing Kick's like 22 frames, but because you can't buffer it, you need the down and the down back, and then press the 4 1 frame later, so it adds like 3 frames. But especially with bufferable dashes, and traditionally though, it's a little weird. A lot of throws you couldn't buffer after them. There was no buffer period. So like his 1-3 and 2-4 throws, if they stood up and you did forward 3 series from after the throw, with good timing, it would hit standers from behind and back recovery from the front, and you could see and decide your combo. But it was hard to time because there was no buffer period there. So it depends. Is there a buffer period? Is there not? Are we getting that dash buffer out of this? But I could see We have 7 frames before recovery. If they're not considered fully grounded, if we could do a micro dash into up back 3, and it would float into tornado into a combo. Oh, that's got to be tested. Okay, punch parry. I do not expect this. I think this is a big old lie. Tekken 7 also said 14, and it was utter crap. It was not 14. Extensive testing for years showed it to be, I think it was +7. And at +7, if we did an I-10 move and they held back, they could not turn around. If we did I-11 or later, I'm pretty sure they could turn but get hit. So 11 to 13, they could turn but not block by holding back. And if they held down back, it took longer to actually turn around. So there was a kind of mix-up off of it people would do, which was like 1, 2, 2, 3 for the high option versus down forward 3, 2, 3 for if we thought they were turning down back. And if they turned with back, they could block the down forward 3. If they were real good, they could block that, duck the 2, and launch you. But if they turned down back, it hit from behind into a full juggle. And that's probably changed a little bit too. We'll see what happens with the new down forward 3, 2, 3 properties and animation. They finally changed punch parry 4. So it now comes out on that same frame 13, basically. And it's mid. So on a lot of characters, it's guaranteed. Not everyone. Akuma could teleport. Julia could do a back turn down to down forward 1 to put enough space in those frames between her and Lee that it would whiff. A couple characters had parries. Xiao Yu had a parry. There were some power crushes. But the power crushes, then you could be like, oh, if you're going to do that, I could try another option. Or they wouldn't be quick enough for the 1 series, for example. Raven's manual turn turns 1 frame faster. So when Raven was back turned, if you use a 13 frame option, including punch parry 4, Raven could manual turn with 3+4 and block it. So anyway, we're +7 here. And so, a lot of love for people like Phil DX and all those things. I hated the guest characters. And part of what I hated was punch parry. I'm +7. I do standing 2. I try to go 2, 2, 3 from the back in 3 frames from back turn. 3 frames. Noctis jumps over my jab to get behind me and combo me from behind. This is not Tekken physics. If you're going to be in the game, just please follow Tekken mechanics. Like, you can have other systems and bar and whatever, but no magic insta jumps, please. So anyway, yeah, this is +7. Like I said, up to frame 13. Most characters, with just a couple exceptions, can't get away. They can turn but not block. So you can down forward 1, 2, 2, 1 was one of the things that I like to do from there. It's natural combo. If they held back, they can turn but not block. You hit it, you're -9, but you get some damage. If they turn with down back, it hits them from behind. And you continue to down forward 1, 2, 2, 1, which pops them upright. And there's no buffer period from the 10 frame strings, but then you could get 3, 3, or down 4, neutral 4, 3, or against Marduk with really good timing, you could get forward 4, 1 into a juggle. Hitman 4, if you're just like, just give me the mid, I want a guaranteed big hit either way, is good at wall especially. If you hit them and they didn't turn around at the wall, so they're face first, you could get back 4, up back 3. Or if you were in rage, that first hit before they fall off the wall, you could do the rage from behind. At certain angles, you could also sidestep right and down forward both punch and 3 to kind of work your way around them and pop them off the wall and juggle them away. But we, as far as I can see, don't have access to that move itself now, outside of using it through like 2, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 2, 3. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying from all of this is this says +14. Tekken 7 also said +14 on the punch parry. It and it was bald-faced lies. It was their back turned, you're +7. So right now I expect it to be the same. If it were an actual +14, this would like guarantee the knee, some other stuff. But just looking at this now, when does it look like we recover? Okay, so here we are. We're both not recovered yet. Yeah, I mean they're well recovered before this. Yeah, so I think this will hit normal people from behind. Probably a couple characters can get away with it from it still. Raven, I would expect, can still manual 3+4 and block it. Yeah, we'll see what comes from this, but I don't think it's actually +14. So we'll test when the game comes out. Okay, and the low parry goes instantly into the tailspin. So yeah, that's about all for this stuff. Sorry, there was a little more footage I missed. I forgot to have up here. I think it's from the TMM video when he was playing around with stuff. The main things I can remember from it were that the up back 3 on counter hit leads to a full combo. They instantly go into a tornado, and also the slide at max range on counter hit was +10. It was either max range or close to it. I'm not really sure because we haven't seen the whole frame range from practice mode on that. But yeah, so I hope that kind of brings you up to speed with some of the changes with Lee that we're seeing so far, how you might apply them, how they could be useful, and ideas of stuff that I have to test. And so I've loved delving into mechanics, finding things, creating new tech. That's what I loved about Tekken and Lee in 4 and 5.0 and DR and 6.0 and BR. And then Tag 2, I feel like the system just didn't help Lee a lot, and they redid the character models, and like, you know, is low parry -4 up 3 to back 2 didn't connect anymore because it was the wrong height and some weird stuff like that, and down 3 to finish combo wasn't guaranteed because they could raw tag and hop kick you in the face. And so Tag 2 wasn't really my jam, and Tekken 7 just felt too constrained. Like there weren't enough mechanics and systems to really express your creativity and find new things, and so it just didn't keep me around as long. But I'm real excited for Tekken 8. I'm excited to be testing. As soon as it hits, I'm immediately going to be in the lab. I'm going to be testing stuff. I'm going to be finding out mechanics. I'm going to make videos on it. I'm going to show you routes, what can connect, where, why, the choices you might make to use one route or the other, or one tech or another. And yeah, I hope I'll get some good tech that you can apply if you wish to. Like I said, lots of Lee players have different styles and approaches to the match. And some are kind of YOLO, and then some like me try to be a little safer. And but yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Overall in Tekken, I would say my goal is to play a beautiful game. It's kind of my approach to life too, and so the way I think about it, some people are like, do whatever you need to win. If down 444 is a scrub killer, just stick that out, you know, until it gets you killed against a better player. But for me, like, I want to be able to do a lot of hard stuff and difficult things that make people appreciate the match when they see it. I've had some tournament matches where I won and I felt like I needed a shower. I felt so gross. It was like, oh, I don't feel like I won there. And I've had other matches against really hard opponents where they forced me to bring out all of my tech, and I was able to hit just about all of it, and I lost the match, and I'm like, I lost, but that was a damn good match. That was satisfying. And ultimately, that's how I want to play Tekken. Like, keep getting better, find the things that can be done, get my execution to where I can do that reliably in match. And like one of the examples coming into this game, I think I could technically do this in Tekken 7, but it would be very, very difficult. Let me just get a more beautiful picture of Lee up in the background while we wait. Oh yeah, thumbs up. Okay, not beautiful with that mouth. Back to the rose. Okay, so back to misstep into while running 3-4 technically can connect in juggle. I've done it only a handful of times, I think like 3 times out of many hundreds of tries. Less than 1% success rate. And there's some weird things about the buffer window with misstep and Tekken 7, which I just went into in one of my other videos. But I think with hitbox, to get it to come out quickly enough to hit it consistently in combo, you could already do it in Tekken 7. And I do have a hitbox, but my stuff, I've got 6 boxes of stuff still stuck in Japan. I just moved back this year. So the idea would be you back to forward neutral, you forward neutral in the buffer period, so it stores it for the first input on recovery. And then the frame after that is input on recovery from the misstep. You have forward and hold it, and then for the instant while running, the 3 has to be pressed 1 frame later. So Akira had this move, or Akira, in Virtua Fighter, where you would hit kick and guard at the same time. And I think it was a guard you had to release within 1 frame. So you kind of hit both of them, and you slide off the one. And if you did something like that with hitbox, on the recovery frame, you could slide and hit and hold the forward and slide off back the next frame. And what that would do on a hitbox is with the SOCD, it would make it neutral for 1 frame, but you're still holding the forward. So the forward, the final forward would come exactly 1 frame later, and then the 3 press would need to be 1 frame after that. So it's a certain kind of piano method, but I think with a hitbox that would be doable, where you could get used to the timing, and if you time it right and you have that motion down with your forward timing and your 3 press, you could probably reliably, it'd be hard, but you could get back to while running 3-4 in combo with Lee. With a stick, it's so difficult. I don't think it's really ever going to be consistent unless they've changed stuff in Tekken 8, which they might. So we can see we can buffer forward now, but the question is misstep still wonky where it only takes the first input? And if it is, then it might not give us the forward out of misstep. But if it does, then all we have to do, even with a stick, is time pressing and holding forward on recovery and the 3 1 frame later. And if that's the case, with a stick, back to while running 3-4 is also viable in Tekken 8. So we don't know yet. It's something I have to test. It would be fun tech to figure out. It would be 1 more damage than finishing with 2-1, but it would also offer pressure. They can back recover, but again, I'm in Hitman. I recover quickly. I get instant full crouch out of this. I can slide from a range where they're forced to block, and they can't low parry me, and I'm safe if they block at the right range in there. And on hit, I'm +9, and if they're trying to press something, they're going to get counter hit, and I can get something off of that. So I think there'll be like fun tech like that we can explore, see if it's doable. If the buffer period is there, if the buffer period is the same in misstep as it was before, I'm 100% going to try and build my own hitbox and become a hitbox player in this. The reason for building my own, I don't like how the hands overlap. I want them further apart. If it's easier to do now and I can do that on a stick, I might just stay a stick player, or at least for a while, or have both. I have a couple projects I'd like to do with hitbox and stick, and I'll make videos on that later too. But anyway, so this has gone on too long already. Thanks for sticking around with me and my ramblings. But I hope this helped you see things from my perspective and kind of what I'm looking at, how things could be useful, where to use them, why to use them, new opportunities, and things that we need to test going forward in Tekken 7, or going forward in Tekken 8. So I'm really excited. I hope you are too. I can promise you're going to get a whole bunch of videos from me. Right at release, we'll have combo stuff and combo routes. I really want to dig down into mechanics really quickly. on wall combos, stuff with Lee, Oki, what happens in Oki situations, what are the options, is there anything guaranteed, can we get pressure, are there things where like it's kind of guaranteed or pressure, but you have to confirm what they did on their wake up, and but I'm really excited for all that stuff. I'll get that out, and then once all of that's a little more settled, I want to start doing a Lee versus character video, one each week, until I get through the cast, and then they'll release a patch and make my life horrible as I try and do little update videos for every character. But anyway, overall, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for dropping in. I hope you guys are excited about Lee. I'm really excited about Lee, and if I'm really lucky watching this video, you're more excited about Lee than you were before, because you can think of and see some of the possibilities that might be able to happen under his mechanics. So anyway, thanks for coming, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys again soon. I'll probably do one more video using Tekken 7 for prep for 8, since it looks like the punch parry is the same. Probably frame-wise, I'll do a punch parry video about follow-ups, character counters, and things like that. So thanks for coming. Have a wonderful day.